Hello everybody. In this video we're going to learn how to factor trinomials in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Okay? Now what you should first notice is that there is an imaginary 1 in our first term, and our lead coefficient here will be 1. Okay? So I want that make that very clear. It's going to be very different from this video, from the next video. So lead coefficient of 1. Okay, so right here. And b is our coefficient of our second term, and c is our constant. Okay, now in this method we were going to use FOIL and indirect use of FOIL. What primarily we're going to use with is the inner and outer terms parts of FOIL. And if you're not familiar with FOIL, then it's just a way of distributing two binomials to each other. So I guess I'll show you an example here. So we have x plus 2 and x plus 3, and they're both multiplying. Okay, so what we do is multiply by the first term. So x times x here, which will be x squared, and then we will multiply by x to the outer terms, which will be the guys on the outside here. So x times 3 will give us 3x. And then our inner terms are the ones that are touching. So we have 2 and x. So these two are multiplying. So we have 2 and x. And then 2 times 3, which would give us 6. Okay. So, and then whenever we're combining our terms here, then we're resulting in x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 6, Okay. Now what you noticed here in the outer and inner terms of FOIL is that the terms ended up coming out to be like terms. Okay, so we're able to combine them. Okay. And the way we got our outer term was the last two numbers in our binomials. Okay. Now we're going to try and find factors of c, so we can go backwards and find these numbers. Okay? But at the same time, those numbers would need to add up to their b value. Okay? So if I kind of confused you, you can just go ahead and stick with me so far. So we have table method. Okay? With table method, we have to find all the factors of c first, all the multiples that add up to b. Okay? So in this case, we had to look for all the multiples, all the factors of 6 that would give you, that whenever they're multiplied, they give you 6. So we have 1 and 6. So we have 1 and 6, and then we have 2 and 3. Okay, so we have 1 times 6 gives you 6, yes. 2 times 3 gives you 6, yes. Now whenever they're added, then they should result in the value of b. So right here we're looking for 5. So we have 1 plus 6, 7. We're not looking for that. 2 plus 3, we have the 5. Now there it is. Okay, so our values here will be x plus 2 and x plus 3. Okay, our factors are positive, and so our numbers inside here will be positive. Okay, so hopefully I didn't lose anybody on that. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a couple examples here. Alright, so we have x squared plus 10x plus 16. What we're going to try and look for first is all the factors of 16. Okay, so table method. So we're looking for multiples of 16. Whenever they multiply, give you 16. Whenever they added, they give you 10. Okay, so we have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 3, 4 and 4. Okay, so we're looking for a positive 16. So all these are going to be positive. So we have 1 times 16 gives you 16, 2 times 8 gives you 16, 4 times 4 gives you 16. So we go to our second column, we have plus. We have 1 plus 16 gives you 17. No, that's not what we're looking for. 2 plus 8 gives you 10. Yes, that's what we're looking for. Okay, and if we want to go ahead and check down here, then we have 4 plus 4, 8. We're not looking for that. Okay, we're looking for this in here. Okay, the factors in our multiplying column tell us what's going to be inside our original binomials. Okay, so we're going from trinomials to multiplying binomials. Okay, so the first term should always be x whenever we have a lead coefficient of just 1. So we have x, and so right here will be positive 2, and then we have a positive 8. Okay, and that will be it for our answer. Okay, now to double check, you could just use FOIL. So whenever we have x times x, we have x squared. X times 8 gives you 8x, plus 2 times x will go 2x, so ax plus 2x will give you 10x, and then 2 times 8 will give you 16. Okay, so now our second example here. So we're looking for 3, and then they have to add up to 4. So whenever they multiply, they give you 3. Whenever they added, they give you 4. So we have 1 and 3. 3 is a prime number, so we only have two factors. So then right here is positive, and right here is positive. So we have to have 1 times 3 gives you 3. Okay, so 1 plus 3 will give you 4, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so we have x plus 1 and x plus 3. Okay, and that's it. And double checking with FOIL, we have x times x, x squared. X times 3 will give us 3x, plus 1x will give us 4x, and then 1 times 3 will give us 3. Okay? Now, right here you should notice that we have x squared minus 7x plus 6. So, what are we going to do? Alright, just take the same approach. So we have to add 6, sorry. So we have 6, and whenever they're multiplied, whenever they're added, they should give you a negative 7. Okay. So then we have a positive 6. So we have 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and that will be it. Okay. By looking at this, we see that we have to add up to a negative 7. Okay. So whenever we have a positive 6, positive in our C value, then we follow the value, our factors follow the sign of our B value. Okay, so right here we have a positive C, and then we have negative B. So then all our values here will be negative, all the values. Okay. So we have negative 1 minus 6 gives us the negative 7, then negative 2 plus the negative 3 gives us negative 5. We're not looking for that, we're looking for the negative 7. Okay, so we have x minus 1 and x minus 6. Okay, now that will be it for our answer, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so when we first looked, from what we noticed here is that whenever our C value is positive, then our factors here are going to follow the sign of B. So in this case, it was a positive. So we have a positive C and a positive B. Then all of our values would be, all of our factors will be positive here and here. Okay. So whenever we have a positive C and we have a negative B, then all of our values will be negative. All of our factors will be negative. Okay? Because the negative times the negative gives you the positive also. And we're trying to add up our factors to give us the B value in the middle. Okay? So x times x gives us x squared. X times negative 6 gives you the negative 6, and then we have a negative 1x. So negative 6x minus x will give you the negative 7x. And then negative 1 times a negative 6 gives you the 6. And that's it. Okay? So now, here, we're multiplying to get 24. we're adding to get negative 11. Okay, we have a positive and a negative, so that means that all of our factors will be negative. So we have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Okay, so all of our values here will be negative. So negative 1 minus 24 gives us negative 25. Negative 2 minus 12 would give us negative 14. Negative 3 minus 8 would give us negative 11. Okay, so we're not looking for that, we're looking for this one. So here are our values. So we have x minus 3, and then we have x minus 8. And that's it. Okay, you can go ahead and double check this down here, but it won't be it. Alright, so hopefully it's pretty straightforward. So whenever our c value is positive, then our factors are going to follow the signs of b. Okay, so then let's move on. So right here we have a negative value for c, so we have a negative 27 plus 6. Okay, so right here that means one of our values has to be a negative and the other one has to be a positive, because whenever we multiply, a positive times a negative is going to result in a negative. So we have 1 and 27, 3 and 9. Okay, now whenever we add, we have to add up to a positive 6. So then that means that our bigger value here has to be a positive, because that's what we want it to be. So then that makes our smallest value a negative here and here. Okay, so then we have negative 1 plus 27, so we have a 26, and then negative 3 plus 9, that gives us a 6, and it's right there. That's what we're looking for. So we have final answer with x minus 3 and x plus 9, and that is it right there. Now, if you're confused on why I made this the smaller number a negative, is that our bigger value has to be a positive. Okay, so whenever c is negative, our bigger value sign, the bigger factor, the sign of it is going to follow the b value, and that makes the other one different. Okay, so then right here we have to have our 9 as a positive, and then we have to have a negative 3. Okay, so go ahead, just with practice, you're going to have to try and develop it, that understanding. Now, right here we have a negative 30. So whenever we multiply and add to 1. Okay, so we have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so we have a negative c, and our bigger value here, our b value is a positive, so that means our big value will be a positive, and that makes our smaller factor a negative. Okay, do you see how I did that? We still have to result in a negative 30 and also a positive 1. Okay, so negative 1 plus 30, 29. Negative 2 and 15 plus 15 will give you 13. Negative 3 plus 10 will give you 7. And then negative 5 plus 6 will give you the 1. And that's what we're looking for. Okay, so here it is. So final answer, x minus 5 and then x plus 6. Okay, now I have these over here. So we have to multiply and then add. So we have to multiply to get a negative 2. We have to add to get a negative 1. Okay, so we have a negatives in here, so that makes 1 and 2. Now we have to try and get a negative value when we're adding, so that makes our bigger number a negative here. So 1 minus 2 will give us a negative 1, and that's what you want. So final answer here will be x plus 1 and then x minus 2. Okay, so whenever our c value is negative, the big value, our big factor, is going to follow the sign of b, and and the other factor will be the opposite sign. So we had our bigger factor here bigger factor sign here will be a negative, and the other factor had to be a positive. So last example, we have multiplying and plus, so we had to have a negative 13, and then we had to negative 12. Alright, so we have negative 13 and negative 12. That means our big factor will have to be a negative. So then we have 1 and 13, 2, 3. No, that's it. That's all of our factors. 13 is a prime number, so we only have 2 numbers to work with. So right here it's telling us that our bigger factor will be a negative, and the other one will be a positive. So 1 minus 13 would give us negative 12, and that's it right there. Final answer, x plus 1 and x minus 13. And that's it. You can go ahead and double check these with FOIL if you get confused. It gives you practice on the previous sections. And I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward.